YouTube week 2. What's up? Hey. Hey, everyone. Emily Abadi here. You are listening to another episode of 5 Minute Friday from Hurdle. I have survived the unknown. The unknown being that last weekend I did a 19-mile run on the treadmill. Now, the funniest thing about this was that I truly, from the bottom of my soul, I was like, there's no way I'm doing this. There's no way. For context, many of you are in the loop, but there has been a really awful air quality here in New York City, as well as many places around the country from the wildfires that are happening up in Canada. And so there was no way that I was going to do my long run as prescribed outside over the weekend. Truly, at different points last week, I would be outside for between 5 and 15 minutes walking from point A to point B. And so just like dizzy, instant, almost headache, felt awful. So even if I wanted to ignore the air quality, there was absolutely no way that I knew that I was going to be able to do that run outside. I digress. I knew I was going to do it indoors. I am getting ready in the morning. I mentally know I'm going to go do some sort of a treadmill run on Saturday, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, just get to double digits. I was fully okay with breaking it up over the course of 2 days. I just wanted to get some effort done. Now, this is something that I will do more often than not when I'm traveling and just don't have the time to clock together a lot of miles at once. I firmly believe that this is one of those, there's a reason why the training plan is written in pencil, do the best you can with what you have moments. And so if it's I'm going to run 19 miles or over the course of 2 days, or I'm not going to run them at all, then it's always better to run them over the course of the 2 days. Now, the purpose of running 19, 20, 21 miles in a marathon training block is because you are testing the stimulus, right? You are working to feel what it's going to feel like when you are running 26.2 miles on the day. Does that mean that if you break up the 19-mile run over 2 days, you're getting the exact same stimulus? No, it does not. You are not. But again, I stand by it's better to do something than nothing. So I'm getting ready. I decide to like film part of this process in my bathroom. And I say the line that changes it all. I say, do I think I'm going to do all of this at once today? Absolutely not. I believe that you have to be absolutely unhinged to run 19 miles on a treadmill. And then in that moment, I knew I am going to be absolutely unhinged. I mean, if I really got on there and it felt crazy awful, then I would have decided against it. However, it didn't feel awful. It didn't feel awful at all. It reminds me of I in 2015 it was, I believe, I ran the Dublin Marathon and the New York City Marathon in the same week. Dublin, I believe, I think if I recall, they have it on Monday, like Boston Marathon is on Monday. I ran the Dublin Marathon on Monday, and then I ran the New York City Marathon that Sunday. And the only reason I remember the moment when I realized that I was going to try to do both was when I realized that Dublin was the week before New York, and I was sitting and talking to this woman that worked at ASICS at the time, and ASICS was the token sponsor for both marathons. They had invited me to run Dublin, and I said to her, like it would be kind of crazy if we did both back to back. And she said, only one way to find out. And so that year I did them back to back. And the rule that I had for myself, just to disclaim, I don't think that I would at this age, I say this like I'm like hobbling around. At this age, I don't think that I would be able necessarily to do something like that. I told myself that if I got back to the States on Monday, Tuesday, and went for a shakeout on Wednesday and I felt solid, that I would then run the New York Marathon on Sunday. And that's exactly what happened. And I got very lucky and also so grateful that the ASICS was sponsoring it and I had the ability to do something like that. But what a crazy decision. Anyway, back to this week's story. I get to the gym. I think I walk in there around 7:15, and there are no two ways about it. A long run is a mental game. You can be extremely fit, but if you do not have your mind right, you will not succeed in the mission. It just won't work, especially when you are literally standing in one place while moving in one place. And so I got on the treadmill, and the entire goal the entire time was just break it up into little doables. So I went into it thinking that I was going to listen to music the whole time. Then I was chatting with a friend, as one does when they're running on a treadmill. Texting with a friend, she said, I would definitely have to watch a movie. So then I put on, talk about a downer, but like great movie, Voicemails for Isabel. Now, my error was that I did not think about the angle of the neck positioning. So the phone was like in the tray down below. And I wished that I had one of those sticky things on the back so that I could have put it right in front of me. Smart woman, 2 treadmills over. She was running 14. That was actually really fun, is that I was totally in a community of people that were just as insane and slightly unhinged as I was. There were people all around me running long, which was very unifying and just like felt like I was part of something. and I started breaking it up into little doables. So it was like, all right, I'm going to run this 5K and warm up, and then I'm going to turn up the pace just a little bit. But the entire time in my mind, pace was not something that was super important. I just wanted to be able to maintain for as long as I could. So I run the 5K, then I turn on Voicemails for Isabel. Then I'm like, okay, well, this will take up about 2 hours. And I'm just kind of mindlessly on the treadmill, half listening, half watching, again, because of the head positioning. And then I really started to do a lot of mental gymnastics. Once I got to 13 and you do the reverse math, I don't think that's actually the right term for this, but you do the math. And I'm like, okay, 19, 6 miles. I can run 6 miles. I run 6 miles all the time. I ran 6 miles on a treadmill the other day. And then you start to debunk the negative thoughts that might slip in. So it's giving myself I am statements. I am capable of doing this. I am someone who can run 6 miles. I have done things that are harder than this. Talking about moments that have really helped me remember who I am in the build up to the 2018 Boston Marathon, the one that Des won, and it was an absolute insane downpour, and there were winds, and it was hailing when it started. Wild. I did one training run in the rain. And at that point, I was never someone that would run in the rain. I was like, this is not for me. It's not, I don't want to get wet. It's not for me. But that one training run that I did in the rain on the day of the very insane weather conditions marathon was what instilled in me, okay, you can do this. And that day, truly, out of any run I have ever done in my life, taught me that I can do hard things. And so then in this moment on a treadmill, fast forward 8 years later, I am reminded I can do hard things. And that is something that I want to be the takeaway from this. No one needs to run 19 miles on the treadmill. I would not recommend this to my worst enemy. It is a choice that I made on that particular day. And what happens when you ask yourself, what am I capable of? What happens when you remember who it is that you really are? Yeah. For me, I am someone who does hard things. Fact. Maybe it can be interpretive at times, or at least it can feel that way. But I know that I am capable of showing up when things feel hard. I recognize that things can feel hard, and I am capable of doing them. It's an and both. Yeah. And so for me, that day, the mental gymnastics was not a lot of, oh, you can't do this. Oh, are you really going to keep going? Oh, like negative self talk. It was just different affirmations and reminding myself of the things I knew to be true. We have the evidence. More often than not, we have the evidence. We have instances of moments in our life when we showed up to do hard things. Yeah. And so when you reflect on those moments and you use that evidence to remember who it is that you are in the next installment of difficult moments, in the next circumstance, when you have just a quick second where you might doubt yourself, that is going to be the thing that helps you move forward. And so on Saturday, when I showed up to that treadmill and I debated if I was going to do 13, 15, 17, 19, I kept bringing that evidence forward. And so that's what I encourage you to do in the moments when that gremlin might be kicking in a little bit. Yeah. Again, I still think it's unhinged behavior. But this is an unhinged thing that I did that is going to remind me exactly who I am the next time a difficult moment arises. And what a dope opportunity that is. My listener prompt for you this week: what was the last difficult thing that you overcame? And what did you learn from that moment? What was the last difficult thing that you overcame? And what can you learn from that moment? And now let's queue up a listener question. Here we go. I just put a questions box on my Instagram from Kim. Emily, love the show. What's your current running lifting split ahead of Sydney? So, right now, I am running 4 days a week and lifting 3 days a week. I don't have a full dedicated rest day, although for me, Sunday's lift feels a lot like a rest day. There's like one main lift. I believe right now it's squats, and then the rest of it is just accessory work. And that works for me. That's what feels good for me in my body. That's what feels good for me as someone who loves to move in the morning. That's what feels good for me right now. With that said, as we get closer to the marathon, Sydney Marathon is August 30th. I am planning on going down to lifting 2 days a week and running 4 days a week. And so my peak week for mileage is week 17. I'm in week 15 right now. And I think for me, that might be between 35 and 40 miles. I'm not in the scheme of marathon training. There's a wide spectrum of the miles that you could accumulate. I am on the lower end of the spectrum in terms of miles that I'm accumulating. I like to do more quality, less quantity. So I will, like I said, go down to 2 days a week lifting, 4 days a week running, one full dedicated rest day. On that day, I'll still do some sort of active recovery, whether that's a walk. I've been dialed in on closing my Apple Watch rings for the past year plus. So for me, that's 10,000 steps a day. I think the calories, although like I'm not someone who cares too much about that, but the calories are set at maybe 600 burned and then 10 standing hours. So for me, even on a recovery day, I'm making sure that I'm active to an extent, meandering around, enjoying myself, reading, all the good stuff, Normatec booting. And that's the training split for right now. I I've said this before, I'll say it again. My training split might not work for you. Uh, this is for me. It's what feels good in my body. I also work with other people to figure out my coaching. So, specifically with my strength work, I work one on one with a trainer through the Future app. If you are listening to this and you're interested in the Future app, I have a code for you, and I'll also put it into the show notes. I forget what the discount is right now. I want to say maybe it's like your first month for $99. So I have that for you if you're interested in it. But I love, love, love the Future app and the trainer that I'm working with. I'm working with Runna right now for my marathon plan, which I have absolutely loved. I also love it knowing that I have a run coach certification. So for me, I can look at the workouts that it creates for me and then interpret and or adjust based on how I feel in my body, what's going on. I have had workouts over the last few training blocks that I've done with Runna that have involved workouts that I've never seen before, that I've never done before in the formatting, in the type, in the duration of the different efforts. And it's just been really fun. It's been a really fun way for me to diversify my run training, considering that I've been at this for a while now. So those are the things that I'm doing. That's what works for me. I will say that the closer I get to the marathon, I'm also extremely attentive, as I try to be all the time, but to my inputs and my outputs. I am someone who loves to own my no. I know that saying no is me practicing self care. So sometimes that's events, sometimes that's commitments, sometimes that's like altering a plan with a friend. If someone wants to go out to a late dinner and I want to get to bed earlier, it's like, okay, I might not be able to do that, but what if we did this instead? So my training split might be run 4 days, lift 2 days in the last 2, 3 weeks leading up to the marathon. But the biggest thing I really exercise in that lead up to the main day is owning my no. Hope that helped. As always, I hope that you are compelled to leave me a listener question, to send me something. You can email me over at hello.us. You can also comment on YouTube. To everyone that watched over there last week, this is really fun. I'm having a really good time with it. I to be someone that launches a podcast every Tuesday and Friday is one thing, but to launch the podcast, then to put things on social, then to put things on YouTube, I'm like, oh my God, there are so many avenues that we are doing this now. But I hope that you like watching the podcast. Like I said, I'm working on getting the Tuesday episodes up here as soon as I can. But in the meantime, your support everywhere means the world. So please, please, please comment on the YouTube, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Please uh listen to the YouTube. Please leave a comment and a review. Oh man. Okay. I think it's time I wrap this up. I appreciate all of you here wherever you get your podcasts, at Emily Abadi, at Hurdle Podcast. Another hurdle conquered. Catch you guys next time.